it's obvious that you have gotten at ease. Oh God, and I'm telling you, whenever you get at ease in Zion, it is so easy to quit ministry. It is so easy to stop doing the very thing that got you blessed or got you delivered. Can I preach it right? And we live in a time where so many church folk have gotten at ease.
Jesus, hey, and let God, you gotta, and let God, don't worry about it, and let God, cast your burden, and let God do it, let God do it, let God do it, let God do it, don't worry about it, you gotta let him do it. Don't cry about it. You gotta let him do it. While you're staying up all night. While you're worried about it, you can't work it out. Let God do it. Let God do it.
Enrich us this morning. Philippians 3. And notice, let's look at verse number 12, verse number 13, and verse 14. The book of Philippians, the 3rd chapter. I'm reading out of the New King James Version. Philippians chapter number 3. Notice verse number 12. Notice what the Apostle Paul writes now. He said, not that I have already attained or am already perfected, but I press on, that I may lay hold of that for which Christ Jesus has also laid hold of me. He said, brethren, I do not count myself to have apprehended. But one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward to those things which are ahead. I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Notice again, Paul says in verse 12, not that I have already attained or am already perfected. How many know it's good not to get the big head? Some of y'all don't know what that means, but again, how many know it's good not to get the big head? How many know it's a good thing not to think more of yourself than you need to? See, God had used Paul and was using him in a mighty way. Yet the man of God says plainly that he is not speaking or teaching as though he had already attained or though he had already been perfected. But Paul recognized that he needed to press on. The reason he needed to press on was because as mightily as God had used him or was using him, he still had more for the apostle to accomplish. Y'all listen to him because this is important. Because a lot of folk will accomplish things and then become satisfied. But see, you have to realize, even though God allow you to accomplish a goal, you have to always recognize when he's not finished with you yet. Oh, see, I already dropped somebody rain, but God has certainly blessed you and done a whole lot of wonderful things in your life. But do you know what it means to hear a bona fide prophet tell you that despite all the good that it came to pass, to hear God say to you, but I'm not finished with you yet. Oh, more. Who am I talking to already that you know God is not finished with you yet? Notice that Paul recognizes that he has to press toward the goal. In other words, if he was going to do all that God wanted him to do, if he was going to accomplish everything that God wanted him to accomplish, he was going to need to press on. And based upon that, my subject this morning is a choice to press on. I want to talk about a choice to press on. If you're near a family member, if you could tell him or her the subject, just tell them, our subject this morning, a choice to press on. Look at that person right in his or her eyes and tell them, I don't know what you're going to do, but I choose to press on. Let's give him a hand for the subject on this morning. Come on, let's give him a thunderous hand. A choice. A choice to press on. I need y'all to really pay attention this morning. Again, a choice to press on. One thing that pressing on has to do with that I want us to receive and I want us to allow to get lodged in our spirit is that pressing on has to do with progression. See, when it comes to God, it is his desire that no matter what his people go through, he wants us to always progress. And so I want to teach us this morning about pressing on, or I want to talk to you about progression. Now, progression is the act of progressing. Progression is the act of progressing. It is also has to do with forward or onward movement. And see, when it comes to God, God does not want us to ever get stagnated. He wants us to be people who know how to keep moving forward, or he wants us to always be in a onward movement. And there are people that for a number of reasons, they get stagnated when it comes to life. I wonder, have you ever seen a person who was progressing in life and then he or she began to go through certain things and all of a sudden that wonderful progress that they was making seemingly just came to an halt or to an end? See, I want to warn us this morning that you have to be careful that you don't allow nothing or nobody to ever hinder your progress. And there are people who will purposely try to hinder you from doing the things that God has ordained a purpose for you to do. I know I'm talking to some folk in here because some of us that's back on the road of progressing now, we have many testimonies of how we allow certain things to stop our progression. Am I preaching to anybody this morning? Do anybody remember a time in your life where you know God was blessing you? You know you was moving forward or moving in the right direction. You was even boasting about how nothing was going to stop you. Nothing was going to hinder you from doing what God wanted you to do. And then all of a sudden you went through a trial that you had never gone through before. Trouble showed up at your door, and trouble just didn't knock at your door. It was as if trouble kicked your door in. I wonder if anybody ever had trouble knock at the door and you was telling trouble, you ain't gonna get in here. I'm gonna give God the praise, the glory, and the honor despite what I go through. But this wasn't no ordinary trouble. God, can I just preach it this morning? I wonder, has anybody ever went through some show enough trouble? I ain't talking about needing no $2.50. I wonder, has anybody ever went through some so enough trouble? Again, trouble that just don't knock at the door, but the type of trouble that kicks the door in and looks you in the face and say, you gonna have to deal with me. I wonder, have you ever had that type trouble? I ain't talking about stuff happening on the job, because you know you're only on the job 8, 10, or 12 hours anyhow. But I wonder, has trouble ever showed up at your house? I wonder, has trouble ever broke out in your bedroom? Oh God, I wonder, has trouble ever kicked in the door? And some of us, our answer is yes. And you may say, why are these folk getting excited? They've had trouble kicked the door in. And not only did trouble kick the door in, but trouble caused our progression to cease. Oh, trouble stole some of our prayer life. Trouble stopped some of us from giving. He even caused bona fide praisers to enter the house of God and fold their arm and refuse to give God a praise. Trouble had some folk to the point that where they hadn't danced in months. Some that were known for running around the church just completely stopped running at all. See, that's what trouble can do. Trouble can kill your progression. Oh, if you need a family member, I dare you to tell them, watch yourself. Watch yourself. There are things that will try to come and it'll cause progression to cease. Am I right about that? But I want you to understand that when it comes to God, he wants us to always progress. Now that's good news, because some of us ain't heard that. You need to recognize when it comes to God that he is so good. Somebody shout, so good. That it doesn't matter what we go through. It is always his desire for his people to progress. You remember how God started taking Israel through the wilderness in order to get to the promised land. They thought it would be an easy journey. Even when you hear preachers talk about it, they always talk about how they were less than 2 weeks from the promised land but couldn't go in. It took them 40 plus years just to get in. But see, what they failed to realize is that in the mind of God, he knew from the beginning, though from a natural standpoint it was only 2 weeks away, God had already purposed that it's not going to be a 2-week journey, because I've got to take these Israelites through something. See, I come to tell somebody, no matter how fast your journey may seem to you, I come to tell you that there's always a process that God got to take you through. It's never going to be as easy as it looked. You say, but Pastor, I didn't see that in the dream. No, God didn't allow you to see that in the dream, because you wouldn't have pursued what he had for you if he'd have showed you that in the dream. So a lot of time God will show you the end of the dream, but he won't show you the process. He won't show you the making. Somebody's there right now. You're wondering, Lord, when am I going to get to the end? But you got to recognize the process is just as important as the ending. Come on. But see, all that he took Israel through, he took them through it in order for them to progress. He wanted to see in them, no matter what he allowed to come their way, that they would move forward, or that he would see in them onward movement. And see, some of us, we've gotten stagnated. We've allowed certain stuff to stop us from progressing. But I want to tell you again this morning that we should never allow anything or anybody to stop our progression. See, I don't care what show up. You need to keep moving forward. Can I say it again? I don't care what show up. You need to keep moving forward. You need to tell COVID-19, I got to keep moving forward. I cannot stop. I cannot allow anything to kill my progression. Am I right about that? Now, before I deal with moving forward or progression, I want to deal with 2 killers of progression. I want to deal with 2 killers of progression, because if you're not careful, you may desire to move forward, but if you don't understand that there are killers of progression, you will allow something or somebody to hinder your progress. Am I right about it? And I have been consistently teaching that choices matter. See, if we're going to press on, it has to be because that's what we choose to do. I make a choice to press on, because choices matter. I wish somebody shout, choices matter. You didn't shout it loud enough. Shout, choices matter. Shout, choices matter. Shout it loud, choices matter. If you're married, your choices matter. If you're single, your choices matter. If you're old, your choices matter. Young adults, your choices matter. Adults, your choices matter. Choices matter. And so I have to choose to press on. But I have to be careful of killers of progression. Are y'all in this house this morning? Go with me to the book of Amos. Let's learn something this morning. Let's learn that our choices matter. Amos 6:1. I want to teach this morning. So y'all bear with me. Amos 6:1. Talking about a killer of progression. Are y'all with me? Notice Amos 6:1. Amos said, woe to you who are at ease in Zion. Woe to you who are at ease in Zion. The first killer of progression is getting at ease. No longer having an appetite or a hunger for the things of God. When you get at ease, God's business doesn't matter anymore. When you get at ease, what you do for God used to be top priority, but now it's second, third, and fourth. You see how quiet it is in the church? Because there are some of us that used to be on fire for God. But now we have gotten at ease. To the point to where doing what God wants us to do is no longer as important as it used to be. Like it or not, you have gotten at ease. Now notice the prophet had to warn God's people and say to them, woe to you who are at ease in Zion. See, coming to church is not enough. You can come to church and warm the poos of the seats. But yet when folk look at your actions, when they look at your dedication to God, when they look at your loyalty to ministry, it's obvious that you have gotten at ease. Oh God, and I'm telling you, whenever you get at ease in Zion, it is so easy to quit ministry. It is so easy to stop doing the very thing that got you blessed or got you delivered. Can I preach it right? And we live in a time where so many church folk have gotten at ease. Have a craving or a longing more so for worldly things than they do things of God. I don't know if you've ever watched a person get at ease before. Can I just teach you? They'll go from wanting to talk about God all the time to speaking and talking for hours and never mention God's name not one time in their conversation. And if you mention it, they'll change the subject. Why? Because they have gotten at ease and they no longer have an appetite for God or for ministry. But the Bible says God used the prophet to say to people who are at ease, woe to you. You are in trouble whenever you set up and get at ease in Zion. Because one thing you have to understand about God is that what he has for his people is always bigger than the church or within the four walls. See, you got to recognize when God has something for you to do, you don't separate what God has for you to do that's natural and spiritual. It all is in line with what God wants me to do. But when you get at ease in Zion, not only will you not have an appetite or a hunger for things that pertain to church, but when you look at your life, you no longer have a desire to progress. And it's like you see some saints that are just drying up because they have gotten at ease. Don't even miss coming to church. Have gotten at ease. Man, you'd be surprised how many pastors just are chill right now. Even to the point to where when the members talk to them in reference to ministry, they can tell that, man, pastor acting like he on vacation. I'm going to teach it right. But see, whenever you get at ease and you start putting the things of God on the back burner, don't be surprised when he don't show up to meet your urgent need. Don't be surprised when he doesn't give you the good measure, the press, the shaking, and the running. Why he ain't doing it, pastor? He looking at you, sister. You done got at ease. You better watch yourself whenever God is no longer important in your life. I'm about to move on. I said, you better watch yourself. I said, you better watch yourself. You better remember who delivered you. You better remember who raised you up. You better remember who got you off that alcohol. You better remember who restored that marriage. You better remember who saved that child. You better remember who answered your prayers. But we live in a time where people are getting at ease. I'm finna move on. And whenever you get at ease, you no longer have an appetite or a hunger for the things of God. Can I break it down a little bit further? Have you ever had somebody who wanted to cook you something, wanted to go get you something to eat, and they were going to get you whatever you wanted, but you didn't have an appetite? Woo. See, I'm trying to tell you something. I'm trying to tell you it's hard to cook for folk who don't have an appetite. Pastor don't preach like he used to. He don't do this, like he don't break it down the way that he used to. I like the way he used to do this, that, and the other when he preached. But can I submit to you? Maybe it's not pastor. Maybe it's you. Maybe you done lost your appetite. Because I come to tell you, whenever you get hungry, you just want something good to eat. Whoa, am I preaching right? It's hard to please folk who don't have an appetite. Pastor, I just ain't in it like that no more. See, that's a killer of progression. And I want to say to you, just because your best friend loses their appetite, I feel like preaching this thing. I said, just because your best friend lose their appetite and walk off, you better tell them, I'm still hungry. Leave if you want to. I got to eat. You think I'm going back to where he brought me from? See, there are good folk looking for churches that still have an appetite. There are good folk looking for a place that's still hungry for a move of God. Tell somebody, getting at ease is a killer of progression. Finally, go to 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. Y'all hang in here. I'm almost done with this thing. 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. This is a good teaching. I say it's a good teaching. Now, I'm going to say something that may make some of you mad, but you know, it really don't matter right now. 1 Corinthians 15. Let me say this as you turn to it. There are some of us hadn't accomplished certain things that we should have been done accomplished. Many of you are behind schedule. I'm looking at you. You're running late. Isn't it amazing how folk running late but still moving slow? We gonna get there on time. Why you rush? Yeah, we're gonna have to run through every red light to get there. We can't stop at no stop signs to make it. You gotta recognize, especially as an adult, when you should have reached certain goals years ago. See, because when you don't check yourself. Can I just teach right? This is reading you see folk in their 40s, but still talking about doing what they talked about doing in their 20s. I'm going to start my bit. Don't tell me that now another time. Not another time. You behind schedule. Customers was out there looking for you 2 years ago when God told you to move. But when you get at ease, man, you're just sitting up chilling. Another thing that may make you mad. Some of us, instead of recognizing and seizing the season that we in and getting better despite the things that we see, some of us just chilling, waiting on another stimulus check. Well, I get more on this unemployment than I do pursuing my dream. But see, you sound like a fool because that stimulus is not always going to be there. Sister girl. You have to be careful that you don't let nothing make you lazy and sorry. Not even a good stimulus check. I know I'm talking right. He can talk all he wants to. I need that money. Look at 1 Corinthians 15:33. Notice real quickly. Do not be deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits. The second thing that is a killer of progression is evil company.
Thank you for watching A Word for Deliverance with Pastor Leonard Cochran of A Place of Refuge, Noonan. A Place of Refuge is located at 10 Fisher Alley in the city of Noonan, Georgia. If you would like to visit us, our worship times are every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7:15 p.m. To order today's message on CD, please call the church office at 770-252-3855 and reference the order number on the screen.